welcome to Moulding and Casting the Dragon, Oathsworn Miniatures. Alright, here we can see Dave, the mould maker at DP Castings. He's laid out the basic part of the mould, and he's just cutting in some indentations for the parts to fit into. They're quite big parts. With a small figure he doesn't normally need to do this, but because they're so big they're going to need some support in there, so he's cutting out an indentation for them. The rubber's already been heated. See there how soft it is as he pulled it out. Alright, so it's just putting the tail section in there now. Then he's got another wing to put in. That shouldn't need any indentation cutting in. There it goes, the last part. Just making sure, right, and that's how it'll be laid out in the mould. Right, and this is just straightforward talcum powder, sort of stuff you find in your bathroom cabinet, just to stop the mould from sticking, the two halves from sticking together. Right, that's the mould tin. He's put the mould halves in, just putting in a little blanking plate there that stops the mould spreading out in the middle. That leaves the hole where the molten metal will be poured in when the casting's done. He's putting the pieces in. Just making sure they're in the right place, getting them well bedded down. Now he's going to need to put some moulding studs in. These are the bits that will stop the mould from slipping when the two halves are put together for casting. The studs just hold the two halves in place. The top half of the mould's going on now, so the two bits of rubber are going together, sandwiching the pieces of the dragon. And then the top of the mould can goes on. Not that there's a lot of room here because, as I say, the dragon bits are quite big. And then over to the press. Okay, so the mould's now coming under pressure, and as it cooks, as it heats, comes under more and more pressure. The pressure will increase throughout the process over the next couple of hours. I think at one point it was up to 4,000 pounds per square inch, which is pretty extreme, really. So here we are, a couple of hours on, and he's about to take the lid off the mould can. Putting the bolts in place, you have to screw them down, that'll help pop the lid off. Okay, it's coming away here now. Yeah, and there we have it. That's the mould made. So now we're going to get the top off and see how it's survived the process. Did it work? Okay, here we go. And there it is. Oh, that's looking pretty good. We've got a couple of bits broken off. I don't know if you can just see a couple of parts where the claws had come off. That's quite normal. Bits of models will often break off in the mould. The question is, how has it How will it cast? Alright, here Dave's cutting vents in. Vents and areas for the metal to fill. And the metal will go in that central hole, that's where the metal's poured in. And it needs to flow into the mould cavities. So he's cutting in the fill gates and the vents there. So metal can flow in and air can flow out. Just doing a little gate off the toes there to try and help those fill. Now he's got quite a lot of cutting to do here, so I won't show you it all. Alright, and here's the two halves. The vents have been cut in, and a bit of talc put onto them, and it's gone into the moulding machine, into the spin caster. He's tipping in a ladle full of metal, and that's not quite enough, so he's tipping in another ladle full of metal. Because this is quite a big beastie, this dragon. Okay, now we've got to let it slow down spinning and cool. It's got to stay in there a lot longer than normal because it's such a big piece. And here it is, opened up. You can see it's actually cast really well. This was the first attempt, so it's not perfect. The mould was still hot. We've got to play around with the temperatures of the metal really. As you can see, I don't know if you can tell from the video, there was a couple of areas that didn't go perfectly. The toes need a new runoff cut in, and there was a hole in the head. The wing pieces too, there's a bit of pitting on them. That's because the wings really need to be at a different temperature to the body piece because of the thickness of them. So they'll probably go into a separate mould. The tail, there was a crack in, that happened during the moulding. That's not a problem, we can fix that before we go to production moulding. But as you can see, I've stuck it together and it actually fits together really well. We were worried there might be some distortion, but it's come out very cleanly. And the kit goes together pretty neatly. Obviously it'll still need some work to put together. This is a large metal kit at the end of the day, and it's not for inexperienced modelers, shall we say, but it's come out far better than we could have expected really, and I'm pleased with it.